Hey folks, welcome back to the Play2Win podcast. I'm Alex, and I've got your other game gurus here, Josh.
Hello.
And Jared. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well, man.
Doing very all right.
That's
better than bad.
Very much middling. I like it. How about those Jayhawks?
The baseball ones.
Baseball ones are freaking killing it, man.
Yeah, last year they finished tied for the conference title, right? And they are regular season. And then I think they're potentially trending that way at the very least again this year. So
I know.
Yeah, they're looking good.
But
we might be.
But about the Jayhawks too, if football does not end up doing something top heavy this season, I'm going to be very upset because we have the players, we have the schedule. Our schedule is fluffy minus the people out east in Columbia. So yeah, I'll be I have high expectations for football this season.
Well, we've got some question marks. It'll be interesting to see who ends up starting at QB, what our skill position players look like. Really, that defense is a huge question mark from last year. So we'll see how they come out and play. But we got Kodal Nicky back.
A big audition for DK to see if he'll stay around.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm excited for it. Anywho, that's in case you didn't realize you were coming to join the Jayhawk Sports podcast today. We're actually going to jump in and talk some video game news since our last episode. A lot's happened, so we'll kind of roll through those because we have some discussions we want to talk about today. First off, though, is the big price hikes with PlayStation. I mean, we saw it coming when Xbox did it a couple of months ago. Last time around, PlayStation did the same thing, so it was only a matter of time before PlayStation did it this time. It's still a win for them each time they can wait a couple of months and separate themselves from Xbox, because it's like, yeah, Xbox just raised the price, but we're still cheaper.
Yeah.
So, Josh, are you feeling good about that investment of a PlayStation 5 Pro now?
Yes, definitely. At least, getting in earlier than now,
I've never owned
It's gaining value.
That went up in price 5 years after I bought it.
I mean,
I know, right?
The PS5
unheard of
was what when it released? It was
it 600? Was it 700?
It was $599.
I don't remember. I thought it was like $650.
It was $599.
I think it was between $599 and $699.
That sounds right.
Somewhere in that range.
There's no way to know. We just couldn't look it up or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I also bought like the disc attachment.
Yeah.
That was like, yeah.
Which was additional like $70-$80, I think. It was
$699.
It was
launched in November 2024.
So it's appreciated like $200, And I take good care of my consoles and I keep all the boxes and inserts, for the life that I have them. So it's gonna live. It'll live. That dog.
Yeah, it's $900 now.
Yeah.
Price. Might as well just buy it on PC.
That's
the thing. It's like, are they like indicating that, there's been talk of the PS6 or whether it's going to be some sort of like variant of like a PlayStation version of a Nintendo Switch, right?
Yeah.
Are they really going to release that or like in the near future, or is this kind
I don't think so.
This is like an indication that PS5 Pro is the top line for the next 5 years.
I really hope they don't try to drop a new console generation before 2030. Or not 2030, or like 2028 to 2030, because I feel they've barely scratched the surface, even with like the baseline Series X that I play on. Like, it just feels like it hasn't been stretched out, where like the last generation, they really pushed those things to the brink before they came out with the new ones.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. Like we talked a lot about it on the show when it came out, whether there was a justification for the PS5 Pro at the time or not. And for a lot of people, there isn't. For us who play all the time, play the newest games all the time, and probably have higher end TVs and rigs and stuff like that. Yeah, but we're not everyday gamers. We're a little more serious than that at times.
We're unks.
I think PlayStation has talked about not wanting to do anything for the next few years. So, especially with prices. Xbox is in a different position where nobody's buying their consoles. They got to do something to make them seem relevant. So, they're talking about releasing in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
As early as next year, more likely 2028. But that would that would be substantially different from what they're currently doing, right? They're talking about Helix, which is a PC hybrid. They're talking about trying to get people back into the Xbox ecosystem after they basically said, you don't need to be in our console ecosystem to be an Xbox gamer. Shifted the this is an Xbox has died. That moniker is dead, and they're trying to reinstill faith, I think, in the console market.
Is this
Josh?
It is.
I will say the only PlayStation envy I've really had was the new Cyberpunk update, and I might have to come over and put like an hour or two into Cyberpunk just so I can see the differences, because how involved I've been in that game since it launched. So
the pisser, guys. I mean, we got to talk about the pisser, right? PSSR.
Oh yeah.
Upscaling, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard people call it.
I've not heard that, but that's funny.
I've never heard it called that either.
The pisser, but it's big for. I mean, at least we're going to talk about it coming up, the game itself. But I mean, I notice a huge difference with that on playing Crimson Desert. It's beautiful.
I'd be curious to see what it looks like on the PS5 Pro also compared to what I've been seeing on the Series X, because I mean it looks great on the Series X.
Having it,
but I can only
getting to the benefit of that plus the more powerful system with the performance mode. It runs really well.
That's going to be the wave of the future. That's the big thing for these next gen, because it's already in the PC market. That was a big thing with the Xbox Ally versions.
And that's all the more reason, I guess, to invest still a little bit longer, if that's your plan, like for PlayStation. I think the PS5 Pro, seems, if they continue to invest like first-party assets, I think they can get a lot out of it for a few more years.
Well, there's also been news of another, I don't even know if I'd call it that. They've been hacked. They had nothing big has come out of it. I mean, they're the biggest target in the world right now. Everybody wants a piece of that Rockstar prize. It doesn't seem super substantial for us as gamers. It's not going to delay GTA 6. It's not impacting our pocketbooks. It's just, it happened, right? Quick hit on
security though, because this is their second or third pack.
For real. Quick hit on some Xbox rumors. There's been some rumors about some changes to Game Pass, potentially. Some good, some maybe not. Who knows? Potentially dropping COD off of Game Pass. That could be interesting because the argument is that's why Game Pass had to go up in price so much.
I'd be okay with that.
No more COD, potentially. Potentially adding a new tier between Ultimate and Premium, somewhere in there in the middle. And then potential price changes, maybe as a result of those two options. Jared, you also heard rumors about perhaps adding a bundle with Netflix, which could help offset some of those price changes.
That's tough, too. I mean, I feel like a lot of people, there's so many different ways now that people get applications bundled into their lives like that. So, it's hard. Like on the surface, I feel like that kind of looks like a good deal. I mean, if you're already getting Netflix and Hulu and ESPN and Disney through your cell phone provider or your cable provider or internet provider, whatever, I don't know. It seems to me like it's just kind of more of like fluff than...
It's another option, though, because I don't have Netflix bundled through anything. I just take that one on the chin.
Fair enough.
It would be nice. It would be nice if they had a choose your own add-ons plan.
Yeah.
It would be cheaper if you don't have this, but you could add these things and save money. Like, I don't think anyone here uses the Fortnite pass that they add on. That's a at least $10 value proposition right there. If I could get it for $20 a month and not have that.
And I can justify the $30 because I used to pay for Ubisoft, and so I was paying more than $30 anyway. And so now that I have Ubisoft bundled in, I'm actually saving money compared to what I used to do.
So it would be nice to be able to kind of, hey, you get two add-ons at this $30 price. Pick them. And it's like Netflix or Hulu, maybe the Ubisoft Plus version, something like that. And that would be, I think that would be nice. It'd be a good compromise there. Finally, the last big update I'll mention before we shift to our discussion topic of the week, or the month, I should say. Starfield had a huge update recently and dropped on PlayStation 5. Jared, you tend to be kind of in the know on these things. What do you know about this new Starfield update?
Surprisingly, I don't know a ton more about it.
Okay.
I do I haven't played since Shattered Space, since that dropped, which it was fun for what it was. It was more content in the game. I forget what the newest update that comes along with Starfield's called, because there's a second thing that they just added to it.
Cruise mode?
The open lanes
Open lanes. Yeah, it's like open lanes. And it sounds like it adds like a substantial amount more to your experience within the game. And I'm curious to see if it just, like we were talking about a little bit before this, if it adds more density to the game. Because like that's always been my issue with Starfield, is I've always wanted to find excuses to re-download it, because the parts of Starfield that I enjoy, I really enjoy. It's just once I play for like 2 hours, I feel like I've done everything I can and everything's procedurally generated. So it's the same thing over again. So if they've added more unique experiences density wise to it, then I'm all in. And I actually was telling you guys too, I downloaded it again. I don't think I'll jump into it anytime soon, because I've been Crimson deserting it up, but it's on my hard drive.
I thought you were gonna say when I downloaded it and I played 2 hours, I've really actually played 8, because there were 6 hours of loading screens.
Yeah, there's that.
Have you guys seen, I think was it AMD that was showing off their AI generative tech to upscale things? I don't know if we talked about this last month or not, but it was
DLSS, is that what you're talking about?
It might have been the DLSS stuff. So essentially, just a quick highlight of it. They showed it on a couple of different games, and it just like up-reses the content. But the comments were like, this looks worse. And what they showed Resident Evil Requiem.
Yeah.
And they showed it with Grace, and it just, a lot of people just think it makes her look like this looks like AI slop.
Yeah,
honestly,
DLSS,
I thought it looked pretty good. That was me, but
deep learning super sampling would be
so they want this to be a tool for developers to say, okay, this looks at the geometry, the things already programmed into the game to help upscale it, and then you can use it as a tool to tweak things a little bit without having to do all the heavy lifting or even like really process heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So they showed this with Starfield, and I haven't seen the Starfield images, but the Starfield stuff was supposedly looked really good.
I saw
was something
one
that Starfield looked a little bit,
and it looked, the character, I forget what her name was, but she looked significantly better, at least in the screenshot I saw.
Yeah, I think that. So, in theory, it's great, right? It upscales essentially, or it's the ability to upscale, improve lighting, improve textures, and smooth out maybe rough surfaces, right? As long as
it was NVIDIA, not AMD.
But it's as long as it's used in, I guess, in the good grace and intention of the way the developers would have wanted it to be. I think there, you could argue like maybe like when we're looking at the Resident Evil stuff, it kind of makes it look more, or maybe less gritty than perhaps like the aesthetic was actually wanting to kind of go for. It kind of just glosses over it a little bit, and I just don't know if that's really what, Capcom wanted.
Sure.
For that. But, if you give them that tool at the outset and they can kind of use it in a method in which they want to, and it's not something that the tool has the ability after the fact to go over and gloss over with AI, and you don't really have the ability to put a final stamp on it as a developer, then that's a good story.
I totally agree with you, and I think the idea, what they were pushing for this, is for developers to take this tool, not back end folks like us having access to this, so that it
like a setting or something that the console does on its own.
Yeah,
you toggle it on or something like that.
I think it's impressive. I get that there's some concern with AI stuff. This is not generative in the same sense, like it's creating stuff from scratch. It's supposedly actually like using data already in the game to update things. And honestly, for me, a lot of it looks like they're adjusting the lighting. And Starfield had some wonky lighting at times.
And that's outer space.
Yeah, for sure. Well, with that, why don't we shift to our discussion topic of the month? Josh, Jared, you guys have been hitting it pretty hard on a little indie title we like to call, I think it's Crimson Desert, right? Crimson Desert.
they might need to change the name to Croissant Dessert.
Croissant Dessert.
Because of all the food that you eat in the game.
Yeah, you mentioned Cliff the Hut coming out, right? This game is interesting because it was hugely, it had huge expectations on it when you're looking at it. This comes from the same folks that did Black Desert, the massive multiplayer online RPG, and it had huge hype. And then the reviewers started to get it a week or two before it came out, and the reviews weren't looking very good. There seemed to be a lot of odd choices or maybe even broken things in the game. We can talk more about that here in a minute. And people trying to cram hundreds of hours into like a few days' time. But then the game comes out, sells 3 million copies in the first week, maybe, and then
like 4 or 5 days,
maybe first 48 hours, and everybody seemed to be loving it, losing themselves in it, and even reviewers have said this game has a lot of issues, but we still can't get enough of it. So this game is extremely polarizing in the best ways, and it's wild. Jared, why don't you tell me what's going on with this game?
Yeah, so I can kind of speak a little bit to some of the concerns pre-release that the reviewers were having. They were namely inventory and stamina. And stamina is a big nothing burger to me. The way that the nothing burger with food. The way that you
oddly fitting
stamina in the game, it's very intuitive and easy, and the abyss artifacts that you actually use to power up your different skill tree stuff, they drop all the freaking time, especially at the beginning. So just you invest heavily in stamina and in health up front, and you learn a lot of the skills in the skill tree organically from fighting people. You'll be fighting somebody, you'll see somebody do something, everything slows down, and you learn that skill, and you don't have to invest it on the skill tree, which is really nice. The inventory,
like a body slamming catfish,
a vault, but the inventory pre-release was very bad. So it was your personal inventory is somewhat limited up front. And then you do have a chest at whatever base you're staying at, but pre-release, the only way to get stuff into that chest was if you were to go out and liberate a base, and then everything that was dropped would get automatically put into that chest, but you couldn't transfer from your person to that chest. Yeah. And so whatever you had on
that's an odd choice.
You had on you, but they changed that within 2 days of release. So that was automatically taken out also.
And admittedly, at that point, though, the inventory space really isn't much of an issue in the first 2 chapters.
No, it's not. And getting new inventory, the quests that you have to do that take all of 5 minutes to complete. Yeah. A lot of them, people might complain, it's very shallow questing and to upgrade this. But again, it takes you 5 minutes. You get some sort of little whimsical interaction with people, you have to clean a chimney, and then they give you 3 new inventory spots. And so it's just a matter of adapting to the gameplay style, and it's not a Fallout or something where you can just sandbag and hoard a bunch of crap. And if you can get through Dead Space or Resident Evil, this game is nothing as far as inventory management. So after those 2 things, there's really nothing else in this game that I see as a limitation whatsoever.
I'm curious. I've heard a lot of people talk about movement.
Yeah.
And just being really awkward to control, Cliff. And I've heard that's updated too. But Josh, go ahead.
What I'm going to say is that, very early in the release of the game, think of, you've I don't know, Jared, you haven't played a Souls game, have you? But Alex, you've played Elden Ring.
I played a Souls-like game before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that game, was there a concept of weight on your character build affecting your movement speed and all that stuff, and dodging and all that?
Yeah.
Think of Cliff is, when the game originally came out as a tankier kind of sword and board in Dark Souls or Elden Ring.
Okay.
In terms of movement, weight, everything that
heavy, slow,
very kind of heavy, and Cliff's a big dude. Obviously he's a shit brick house, but I think they've kind of toned back a little bit on the heaviness of how he feels and to control. So when you're kind of out maneuvering and climbing, and even when, they did things like increase or decrease rather the expenditure of stamina that gliding has on your stamina wheel, so you can go further. And then they also made the boosting a little bit more effective in the air too. That stuff kind of makes it feel, I don't want to say night and day, but there's a lot of difference to it. And even still, like, I kind of feel like you just got to get used to, it's a proprietary engine, right? Effectively everything how they created it on release was effectively really how they wanted it to feel. If whether or not that's perfect or not, or whether or not that resonates with the audience as a whole is entirely different. And credit to Pearl Abyss, they realized, hey, that's something that we can easily change. And we went in and did that in a very quick update, among many other quick updates. And, they've kind of changed what you could probably argue, in my opinion, like on a worse level, was maybe 6.5, 7. I think base, like for a user, right now should be pushing 8.5, 9, if not higher. I can
look it up.
I will say,
personally,
one thing that I have noticed about it, and this is more of a me problem, not necessarily a game, is there's so much depth to the mechanics of this game, and there's so many different inputs and so many different ways that you have to engage the controller to get clipped to do different things, that the learning curve is pretty aggressive. And at times, and the major drawback that I have seen in this, and this is the only one that I have like a legit, like, okay, that's kind of annoying, is if you're trying to get something specific in like a small cluster of items that you can pick up, it's very difficult to get the one thing that you want and leave the other things there. But again, I haven't really stretched out the learning curve enough and bridged that gap enough. And I like, even in combat, I've only scratched the surface, even with the stuff that I've unlocked with combat. Like, I just sword swipe more, but like, I could be throwing guys more, I can be shield bashing more. Grappling. There's just so much to it. It's almost like fighting game mechanics once you get into combat, with how many different inputs that you have.
But in like a third dimension.
Yeah.
It's not,
but if you can really unlock and utilize that, though, I mean, even the base level surface layer of combat is so much fun. It's super kinetic. It's satisfying.
It's like a 3D beat 'em up.
Yeah, if I can put together combat better,
that sounds fun to me.
Get to the next level.
I've heard it described a little bit more like a Muso game in it when it comes to combat. Not necessarily in the fact like they're just taking huge armies on armies, but like the combat, that kind of sounds like a 3D beat 'em up to me.
In certain areas, it can, depending on where you go and how heavily concentrated, like the banditry, would be. But the most I feel like I've faced at once is probably around like 20 enemies,
20 to 30 people, and you just
it's not.
You can get yourself formed really easily too. They do not wait.
It's not quite like Dynasty Warrior, where you just ride a horse.
Yeah.
You like do like one swing of a lance and you knock out 15 enemies.
So
you have to work to get kind of like crowd control skills in this game too. For the early portions of the game, you're doing in a lot of these group settings, you're kind of doing like targeting single targets, constantly like keeping an eye on your 6 for when you need to hit that shield, because when you hit the shield, it'll go immediately, it targets whoever is trying to attack you. So if you just toggle that, your character, he could flip 180, and
you do have to really focus.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, we asked about reviews. Actually, it's doing pretty well. Like even critic reviews, it's in the mid to upper 70s altogether. And out of over 12,000 user reviews, this is on PC, it's sitting at an 8.8. So it is really killing it. Like it is doing actually a lot better than I thought. And from what I'm hearing, a 7 to 8 actually sounds pretty solid for this game in general.
Kind of going back to the combat real quickly, it's not
go ahead, Jared.
Hack and slash too. Like Josh was saying, you do have to be strategic with how you go about the crowds, and I always find myself trying to target the range guys first because they can be annoying, and then every once in a while in the crowd you'll get a heavy or two, And those guys are brutal because they will run you down, like sprint at you, and they have some pretty like oppressive hits on you that will allow other people
like
to
dual wield.
Yeah, but it allows other people to get hits on you too because nobody waits their turn in this game either. So you do have to be strategic about it, and there's times where this game's humbling because you'll take on a crowd that's easy where you can just kind of go in and spam a something, but then you'll run into another crowd, you just get your ass whooped.
But there are like certain, like, you know, a lot of your grappling skills specifically do have like a splash radius. So like if you like, you know, do the, gosh, I'm blanking on it. I like doing it to people, but effectively you just kind of like grab them by their head and like slam them down.
Suplex.
It's not quite a suplex, but it's a
DDT or
something. Yeah.
Boom.
But you like do that, and if there's like 3 or 4 enemies within like 2 feet of it, they're kind of like knocked back. They lose.
Like
a little bit.
I like throwing a bro into his bros. I'll pick them up and just chuck them at people. And then that clears that wing of folks, and then you can go.
I saw this one video where this guy like was doing that. Where you grabbed some dude, and I think it was a guard in Hernand, and he started just like spinning him around, like knocking people over through the city, and then he threw him off a cliff. Like at the end of all this, that's the thing too. You can just pick people up and like throw them off cliffs.
Yeah, cliff throwing them off cliffs. Yeah. I like Spartan kicking people off of cliffs too. Like there's so many fun moments in this game. Like it's so great.
My favorite kick, real quick, is like the running, like hold down triangle kick where you like the spinning roundhouse kick. It's almost like always an instant kill. And it's just like, damn, like that just looked like it hurt so bad.
I have a question for you, Josh. I'm watching a lot of footage of this game right now. And first of all, this game looks absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous.
Dude, it's so beautiful.
Impressive. And I think people didn't believe that it was going to run and look as good as it does. But that's on the side here. Josh, I'm watching footage, and some of the stuff I'm seeing is giving me really huge Tears of the Kingdom vibes. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. So that's a good point. It feels very similar. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. So maybe closer to Tears in the Kingdom in the sense of the abyss.
Like the sky stuff? Is that the sky stuff?
But you know, in terms of like just kind of navigating the world, you could think of like all the bandit camps. You could maybe draw a corollary from those to all the Moblin, you know, outposts and things like that that they've taken over in the land of Hyrule. You've got all sorts of puzzles to solve, sort of like shrines. The abyss crescents that you can kind of find out in the world are very similar to shrine puzzles in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. You can catch horses, you know, and basically make them your own. Tame them.
It's similar to Red Dead Redemption 2, how you get a horse. Yeah. A wild horse.
They've got...
it's like that in Breath of the Wild,
like
too.
Legendary mounts, too. Like big-ass bears that you can ride, and lions.
Oh, that sounds sweet.
Dragons, and you can ride, I think, deer, but maybe I'm not sure exactly.
There's an elk.
Ride a deer.
There's an elk.
An elk, okay.
Yeah.
Just the equipment you can find. There's no durability per se, where things like fall apart, but you know, you do have the ability to basically outfit your character however you want and add modifications in the form of abyss gears to your equipment that will improve the stats and also provide like buffs and extra skills that you can use either in combat or traversal, similar to how outfits work in, you know, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. You can also dye outfits in this game, which is cool. So you can find your fit and then, you know, make it whatever color you want. Like if you want to do like full, like badass looking white armor or black armor, or you want to do like a, you know, you want to do like a blue to purple gradient, like the new City Connect for the Royals. I'm sure you probably figure that out too. You could do all sorts of things with that. And yeah, and then, real quick, I was just going to say there are immense amounts of like secrets to just figure out in the overworld. You know, like random people that will come up to you, and occasionally you'll overhear conversations that lead to bounties or quests, or put a point of interest on your map and things like that.
To kind of add to the comparisons, obviously there's a lot of Tears of the Kingdom comparisons, but you can sprinkle in a lot of Wild Hunt comparisons. Boss fights are very difficult. They're not easy by any means, so there's probably a little bit of Soulsborne-y comparisons that you can throw in there. And then as far as the baseline combat, it's probably very Ninja Gaiden-y, which, again, I have not played a lot of.
Yeah.
But I hear there's depth to that combat, and you have to be strategic, even though it's kind of like, or like a God of War, as far as combat goes.
Okay. So that 2018 style God of Wars.
Yeah,
the newer God of Wars.
It has a lot of elements mixed into it that really feel familiar to other games, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like the other games. You might get like a little deja vu here and there of something else, but overall, it's like it's crazy.
I like so, and you know, from a boss fight standpoint, I agree. You know, several boss fights do have, you know, some challenge and feel very Souls-like. There are a few that, and maybe some of them they've nerfed, you know, from post-patch. Like there was one against like some sort of like gorilla monster that you fight in a cathedral.
Yeah, I've seen
that. I think they nerfed a little bit, but it's still. I felt that it still had a little bit of challenge to it.
I like the little goblin guy. He wasn't bad, but like I ran into this optional boss, this dude up in these ruins. He looked like a big like Viking guy, like kind of looked like the Blackbeard people. Yeah. That dude kicked my ass for a really long time.
Are you talking about the guy, the Lord of the Fallen?
Yeah, and you get the shield from him.
Yeah.
He's brutal at first until you realize, like, oh, you just got to juke around this fool, and he can't do anything.
When he's got 3 health bars, too.
Yeah, it's 3 freaking stages, and, like, he kills your stamina when he hits you, and it was just so freaking hard. I was running around last night, and, again, it's humbling. I was just in this random spot, and then these 2, I forget what they're called, that they look like elementals from The Witcher, except they were huge. I was like, maybe I could take these guys on. I couldn't take those guys on. I had to just bail. And I'll go back and fight them. So like there's a big spike between some of at least the optional bosses that you need to fight. I feel like the story bosses will probably be a little bit more forgiving, but yeah, some of the other bosses are just
once brutal. You do some of so if you complete like the Sanctum of Absolution and get like the sword from that guy and kind of buff it and, you know, get your Abyss gear slots and add destruction or attack speed ones to it, you'll be set for, I think, a pretty decent amount of time for damage output. Mm-hmm. You know, and really it's just kind of just getting maybe some crowd control skills and stuff like that. But I'm mostly still in Hernand. I'm working my way closer to Diminis, but I'm doing a little bit more over there. I think I actually just started the Crow Collar stuff in that area. So I'm kind of interested in the outcome of that little chapter line. But
I've done a lot of extracurriculars, so I kind of went away from the main. And so like all the stuff I've done in Dominus is just like, I wonder what's over there. That city looks cool. And then I ran into those Inquisitor guys. I was like, I can't run through this area because they are going to destroy me.
I want to say like 60-ish hours in or something like that.
Yeah, I have
still only in Hernand for the most part. So there's a lot of stuff to do, and like I mentioned, I think offline to you, Alex, and Jared was here, but the puzzles, some of them are really just kind of cool and unique. And I mean that can kind of go from, there are like towers kind of littered throughout the map that you can go to they could be like mage towers, or they could be related to that. They could be abandoned, taken over by like enemies or monsters or something like that. And you kind of just have to go in and figure out, like, I got to clear it out. And then there's always a puzzle. You got to figure out how to get to the top or find some, hidden treasure. There are, at the very least, 2 like kind of factory puzzles that I'm aware of in the game. One of them, they both provide some sort of like backpack, but the one that I've completed was the fertilizer backpack at the elixir factory in Hernand, and that's just kind of a really cool like puzzle to, you're effectively getting something back online from the beginning to, make sure everything's working in a factory line process. And, you have like checks on the way there to, if I didn't get the right outcome at the end, I need to go back and make sure I followed the outline properly. It's really kind of just a cool like way to feel like an engineer almost in the game. And I haven't really seen that outside of maybe something similar within like a Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild shrine puzzle. So, it's just really kind of cool to stumble upon stuff like that, or, get a quest and it turns into something completely different when you're at the end of it, essentially. So it's a really cool experience in that regard.
It's interesting. I'll just make a couple of comments, let you guys speak on it, and maybe we should move on. But it seems to have a lot of, I think you both have touched on this already, a lot of coding from a bunch of different games, but it's not any of those games.
Right.
Like, just looking at it, it looks more like along the lines of like a Witcher, but it has all of these Tears of the Kingdom type elements. Like, it even has similar like powers to like Ultra Hand and the gliding and the up sky world and stuff like that. But then it also sounds like there's all kinds of things you can do in this game, from farming to crafting to fighting to exploring, fishing, gambling,
rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
Feed animals, that's in there, right?
Actually, yeah, you can farm, breed animals.
You can really get lost in this game.
Dispatch people on separate missions, so if you want folks to go out and clear a fortress for you, they can do that. If you want them to go gather resources, they can.
There's investment strategies in the bank in this game. You can you have like a portfolio.
Sounds like a Yakuza game a little bit.
You can do low risk, moderate, high, and it gives you kind of like a percentage of returns or losses that you could experience.
There's deep crafting, there's deep cooking.
So I've heard,
you can find weapons, you can craft weapons, you can refine weapons. There's so many freaking armor sets and outfits in there too. It's crazy.
They're rumored to be working on like local and online multiplayer or co-op, I think,
that'd be
as well.
fun.
Yeah, I mean, for everything that was maybe like a head scratch when the game released, outside of the notable there is a story. I don't think that people are being as genuine toward there being an actual story in the game when they talk about it for clicks and stuff like that. There is a legitimate story to the game, albeit it's not as heavy as it was once, expected to be internally. And I think they just started adding so much content to the game that they worked themselves out of it, and they eventually had to stop saying yes to stuff, and they kind of just had to make the game that they had. And it's not the greatest story by any means, but there is a story, and it is interesting to see it play out and kind of regrow a faction that was once held in high regard. And you do it in a very kind of rapid way.
Before we move on, I have two other things. Sorry, keep going, Josh.
No, you're good. I was just going to say that... But, when I think about it, legitimately, there is more of a story to this than I felt there was at, like, Breath of the Wild.
I was thinking the same thing.
You know what I mean? Like, Breath of the Wild was mostly told through, like, flashbacks that you may or may not have had the opportunity to see in the order in which, they technically play out sequentially.
Well,
in
along the same lines, like, when I play Elden Ring, I don't care what the story is at all. Like, I just go through and I explore and I do some shit and see some really cool things. Jared, what were you going to say?
In addition to your mounts, you also have pets. Forgot about that. So I have, I have a little brown dog following me. And then we didn't even touch on the two other playable characters that are in the game. I only have access to one of them, but also they can come with you too. So like, if you're questing, you can bring them along and have pretty much an NPC with you. Except they're not an NPC; they are a playable character, but they're a companion that will fight with you.
And so when you use skill points to upgrade your health, strength, or stamina,
it does it for them too,
or spirit or stamina, it does it for all three characters.
Yeah,
but it does not unlock their individual skill increases, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of knocks that out. As sort of like a community kind of pool.
And they have a lot of updates. We don't necessarily have to get into them, but they have a lot of updates on the roadmap They've already, within the past 2 days, I've seen the game update twice. Some people might think it's for worse, some people might think it's for better, but they're definitely making the game more accessible for folks. So they're adding difficulty levels. They're allowing you, aesthetic-wise, to not always have a shield on your back. You can hide that. You can.
It is funny how like certain.
They're going to Unga and what's her name, Damien.
Yeah,
in terms
like DLC.
Just like more skills for them that you can unlock.
Oh, okay.
But there's already a ton of outfits and stuff for them too. So like this game is not done by any means.
Have they come out and said that the DLC in like all capacity will be like free of charge? I thought I read that.
I think they said there's going to be free and charged DLC.
Okay.
So they're gonna give you free stuff, but they're also like, I'm assuming like a bigger Blood and Wine style DLC. You'll pay $20 for it. Which, by the way, like this is a $70 game. Totally worth it. Totally worth every single penny of it, because I've already played a whole game's worth of content, and I've probably scratched maybe 5% of what the game is.
I mean, at times it feels overwhelming too. I sit down and it's like, well, I don't even know what I want to do right now. Like, so I kind of sit there for like 20, 15 minutes trying to like figure out.
I'm gonna chop wood and think about what I'm gonna do.
What's my target of plan for this like session, and like how can I maximize my effectiveness with mission dispatches, timing, and
you absolutely have to explore in this game too. There's times where you have to just say, I can't do story, I just have to go out and explore, because like especially with minerals and iron and copper and bloodstone and all of that, you have to find veins. And like once you tap out a vein, it takes a few days, and you can't just like rest anytime you want and recycle it. Like if he's rested, when you go up to a bed, he's like, I can't sleep right now. And so you're going to literally have to wait or go fight to fatigue yourself. So like to open up to farm stuff so you can upgrade your things. And doesn't even feel grindy. It's just like you have to go out and explore and look for stuff. And then, there's a cairn in front of that waterfall. I can go get something underneath it. But you can't just run into the waterfall, because if you do, the water will knock you on your ass. You have to get through it in a certain way. So like it's really a wonderful game in the sense that you can't just play it like you would any other open world game and just like do surface level. You really have to dig in. You really have to explore to get the best out.
Well, I'm certainly interested to see how it continues to grow and develop over the next year. I'll probably end up picking it up. I am wanting to hear more how you guys enjoy it.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, I gotta go.